Hey, what is up, guys? Bluntguts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I always appreciate it. We've got Fenris up on the screen right now. He is a badass new hero that is going to be coming on a banner on Friday. Oh, God, he's going to be alongside Magda. This dude is incredible, and I cannot wait to take a crack at pulling for him. Unfortunately, I think he is going to be largely a GVG exclusive hero, although from what we have seen, it does seem like the new Immortal Codex will feature heroes that do have his skill set. So I do think that Fenris is going to be quite good in that as well. Now, that is just supposition on my part, so we're going to have to wait and find out. But I do think it is worth noting that he is going to be a badass hero at what he does, which is largely doing some damage, but mainly doing a bunch of crowd control and being a headache for the opposition in competitive game modes, in particular GVG. So I'm real excited to grab him at some point. Certainly is somebody that I think everybody is going to want on their account eventually. He is more or less a legendary version of Maul, one of the best epics in the game, and I do think that Fenris is going to be one of the best control legendaries in the game as well. So in this video, I am going to go through my damage testing for Fenris. Again, he is primarily a control champion, but I do want to find out exactly how much damage he can do. So I am going to be comparing him to several other AoE marksmen. I'm restricting this to physical damage dealing AoE marksman, so Pelagios will not be considered in this test, largely because of where I was forced to test it. I did test it in GR1, and Pelagios would have smoked everybody in that dungeon because all of those enemies do have higher defense than magic resist, and so Pelagios would have been at a distinct advantage, not to mention the true damage that he does put out as well. So I am going to show you the run that I did. We're going to be testing Nyx, Kai, Maul, and Fenris in GR119. 19 because, well, there's a reason why you don't bring marksmen into that dungeon typically. So that is the difficulty level that I could clear using this comp. But I do think it is going to be revealing to find out exactly how much damage Fenris can do, not just relative to Nyx and Kai, but also to Maul, who is, again, his epic counterpart. So with that said, I'm going to show you the run, then I'm going to come back, I'm going to go to the spreadsheet, we're going to talk about the results. Before I do get to that, bear with me for a moment of self-promotion. Please do take a moment, click that thumbs up button, promote this video, and also click that subscribe button if you are a regular viewer of my channel. I would really appreciate it. Put a lot of work in these videos, and I do know there's a lot of you that are watching that are not subscribed. It's a free way you can show your support for my channel. I would really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's go take a look at the run. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's talk through the results quickly. Before I talk about the numbers here, I do want to explain how I've calculated this. I work off of relative damage when I do a test like this, because when you go into Gear Raid 1, or any Gear Raid for that matter, there is a set amount of enemy health, right? Each enemy has an amount of health. It's consistent across all the runs, so you can't actually do more damage than there is enemy health. I say this while acknowledging that in this instance, the boss does actually heal his enemies, so there is going to be a slight variation in the total amount of damage run over run, but generally speaking, it is approximately the same amount of damage available each run, meaning that the relative share of the damage that each of these units does is what is important, and that is what I am testing here. So with that said, let's talk about the results. So I did that run at each significant awakening level for all of these heroes, with the exception of Maul, who was at A5 the entire time. But Nyx, Kai, and Fenris, I did test at A0, A1, A3, and A5. Going through the numbers here, we do see that Nyx is in the lead at every single awakening. That's the first thing I will say right off the bat. But what we notice is that there's a similar dynamic throughout all of these different awakenings, where we do see Kai in second place, Fenris in third place, and Maul in fourth place, a pretty distant fourth place. Now, the gap between Fenris and Nyx and Kai does seem to increase at the A1 and the A3. That is largely due to the fact that Fenris does not actually get any awakenings that do help his individual damage going from A0 all the way up to A3. It's not until A4 and A5 that he gets some individual damage bonuses. His A1 allows him to provide a shield to nearby allies when he does use his ultimate. The A2 is a cost reduction. The A3 gives him a defense reduction debuff on his, I believe it's Cosmic Strike, I think is what it's called. It is a 10-second cooldown ability where he's going to provide a 5-second 20% defense reduction to up to 6 enemies. So about 50% uptime on 6 enemies. Pretty significant. That's going to help him, obviously, but it's going to help everybody, right? And it is a debuff, so that means if you are bringing that debuff someplace else, like with, I think Yuri is the other marksman that does bring AoE or potentially AoE defense reduction. You know, it could be overwritten. So, but either way, that is something that's enhancing everybody's damage here, because everybody is a physical damage dealer in this comp. But then at A5, we do see things swing back the other way. And so finally at A5, we do see a 34.51% damage share for Nyx. Kai is at a 29.48% damage share, and Fenris is at 20.72% damage share, up from 15.86. That's almost a 5% bump for him. On the right-hand side of the sheet here, I do have the gearing and stats of each of these heroes broken down. Everybody was in Warlord and Soulbound Arcana. Everybody did have triple attack percent pieces on the right-hand side. I did my best to keep the gear roughly equivalent, but of course I am limited by what I do have on the test server, and so without making myself crazy, I do think I got pretty close. You will notice some variation in the attack amounts. It's largely due to the differences in these various heroes' base attacks, so it's not about the different gear, really. Everybody was crit capped, and the crit damage was around 300% for everybody. Attack speed, I tried to keep it as close to 350 as I possibly could. Kai was a little on the low side, Fenris was a little bit on the high side, but it is what it is. As far as the artifacts are concerned, everybody was in a Reaper's Emblem, with the exception of Nyx, who did have her max exclusive. I do feel like at this point in the game, exclusives are more accessible than at any other point, and it's probably going to continue to become more accessible over time. So I made the decision to do this test with Nyx's max exclusive, because that is an advantage that she does have over these other units who do not have an exclusive artifact that is going to specifically benefit their skill set. So at the bottom of the sheet, I produced a table where I have shown everybody's damage relative to Nyx. As I said earlier, Nyx was the top damage dealer regardless of awakening. So Nyx, relative to herself, always at 100% damage. However, I have noted the relative damage of all of these other heroes. You do see Fenris to start off at about 60% of Nyx's damage at A0, but then he dips drastically at the A1 and A3, because his awakenings don't actually give him any extra personal damage. But going from A3 to A5 is a significant increase, and he is back up around 60% of Nyx's damage at A5. Kai has a similar arc here, starting out at about 70% of Nyx's damage, dropping down at the A1, but rising at the A3 and A5. And then Maul is relatively low the entire time. You do see a dip at the A3, but that's largely because Nyx gets a massive boost at that point. And then the A5 going back to around 44% is largely because all of a sudden Fenris and Kai are doing more damage, taking up more of Nyx's damage share. So look, Fenris as a damage dealer, not amazing, admittedly, but I will say that his per hit damage on his ultimate is staggering. It is very, very high, just like Maul. If anything, this damage testing really confirmed to me that he truly is the legendary successor to Maul. He does everything that Maul does, plus more. And I will also note that while the personal damage that Fenris does produce is only about 60% at A5 of Nyx's, there is a lot of hidden damage that Fenris is providing to everybody else on the map as well, whether it be his damage reduction debuff that he does get at A3, or the crazy rage regen that he is providing to everybody who does have a shield on, which, by the way, because I was running Elder as the leader for the Fenris and Maul team, it does mean that Kai and Nyx were getting shields as well. They weren't getting as big of shields. They may have lost those shields before Fenris and Maul did, but they were still benefiting from that rage regen, and that is a massive boost, because that is essentially Eloin level rage regen for anybody that has a shield on the map. Ultimately, I think this dude is going to be one of the best heroes in the game for a lot of different content, certainly for the upcoming codex that is going to concentrate on control champions. He's also going to find a lot of use in GVG, and I do think he is going to be useful in Arena, probably anti-air Arena, especially because he is going to have that big, massive hit on his ultimate, which can be used to close out the end of rounds. I'll give you more of a breakdown in my Should You Summon video, which should be out in the next day or so. Please do go and check that out. And if you have any thoughts, suggestions, questions about what I've done here, please do sound off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of this guy? You gonna be pulling for him? I'm looking forward to it. I think I was hoping to save, honestly, but I think I'm going to have to be pulling for this guy because I need to get a copy of Fenris on my account. No doubt about it. In any case, y'all, please do like and subscribe. I would certainly appreciate it. And good luck. I will catch you all next time.